since we're celebrating one of the 5 C's here in Arizona, climate, another thing I wanted to point out is that while Arizona's climate lets us grow year-round, I had earlier said we can plant and harvest every month of the year, our sun can burn up the soil's organic matter. And Dr. Silvertooth, this is what I'm going to ask you about. So it makes farmers' efforts to incorporate organic matter more challenging, but doable. And in some senses, Dr. Silvertooth, because I hear this all the time, that farmers in Arizona get beat up a lot because people look at our soil and it doesn't seem like if you're coming from the Midwest or the East, or if you were in Scotland and you saw all that organic matter that I think they call peat, well, it's the climate impacts. Talk about that. Why do we sometimes get a bad rap in Arizona about our soil, and yet you're telling us it's incredibly healthy?
That's a really good point. And it's actually, I like the point, too, regarding the ancient farming that was found here in Arizona. I've read that, seen that myself. So folks here at the anthropology department from the U of A have documented that, I believe. But both are good points. The issue with the organic matter in Arizona is kind of an interesting one. I think a lot of people that would offer those criticisms, I mean, they may be well-intended, but they probably are biased based on their background. We have so many people, probably like myself, that are transplants here to Arizona from places like the Midwest. And you have to understand, it's not the Midwest. This is a different place. This is the desert. And the conditions that we have in the desert and arid regions in general are going to be, characteristic for wherever you go around the world. And one of those is soils that have lower organic matter content. There's a nice map I've used in classes, and I use them in presentations of the map of the United States that shows the general percentages of organic matter. It's a color-coded, shaded map. And you can see the gradient very clearly going across the United States, Julie, from the East Coast and across the Midwest, the Great Plains, higher organic matter content with little darker colors on the map. And as you go out to the west, basically out to the Intermountain West, past the Rocky Mountains or from the high plains onto the West Coast, it gets lighter and lighter, almost to the point of this particular map, it's white. And that's pretty much indicative of what we have in Arizona and throughout the western United States. Low organic matter soils because of low precipitation, lower biological activity as a result of that, and then lower accumulations of organic matter that are the organic matter is what we call the stable residues that are broken down from the organisms from organic material. So if you and I had a garden and we harvest a crop and we turn the residues back into the soil, that's not organic matter. That's organic material.
Okay.
And that organic material is then attacked by and broken down by the microbes. Now, there's a good indication of a healthy soil. It might look like it's just sitting there dormant. You can't see anything, right? It's just sitting there, and you put some water on it, put that residue back, and then all of a sudden it disappears. What happens to it? Microbes are decomposing that material. They come alive immediately. And that's one of the incredible things. Those microbes that exist out here in this desert soils have the capacity to kind of go dormant when it's dry. But if they're given water and they're given food, organic material, for example, they gobble it up voraciously. But they turn it over really fast. We call that turnover. They turn it over into their own bodies. They break down, they die, they recycle. Those residues break down to the organic matter that we have in soils. It's just this little film of organic matter, but it's about 1%, maybe 1.5% in Arizona is normal. You go back to the Great Plains, and you're going to have 2 to 5, sometimes even higher percentages of organic matter in the top 6 inches of the soil. So that's what people are contrasting. But what we have normal conditions, and under this kind of climate that we were discussing earlier, it's just virtually you can't turn an Arizona soil into a Nebraska soil. That's not going to happen. And it's just a reality that we have to face, and work with it. And we can do so very successfully.
Rosie on the house, every Arizona homeowner's best friend.